Hey, my name's Jeff, and welcome to Not Dead Yet Adventures. Who am I? What's this channel about? And should you come back or not? Stuff like that. Gonna cover that in this little talking head videos. I walk around, walk and talk, I guess they call it. So, who am I? I tell people I'm just a fat old man. It's just kind of a pun, but you know, it's pretty true too. I'm just a guy who picked up a camera and started shooting. So I don't have an address. I sold all my goods a couple months ago, and I've been on the road for almost 3 months now, and I don't know if or when that will end. I guess they call it slow travel. And you know, I had plans on leaving the States back in 2020 before COVID hit. COVID hit, had an injury, and everything just kind of died. So things progressed, time moves on, and here we are. I'm in Albania. It's kind of a cloudy day. I'm in the city of Tirana. Hopefully that gave you some view of where I'm at. Going for a walk down this park. And why am I starting a channel? So 2018 I started traveling and started out a couple trips in America. Then I went, wow, this is easy, and went to the Philippines. So before, about halfway into that trip, I'm planning my next trip back, right? Pretty typical of people's first reaction to the Philippines, I think. So after a couple years of traveling to the Philippines, you know, I discovered a lot that wasn't on YouTube. And I learned a ton about how to travel around the Philippines, how to plan your trip, how to, you know, all these little things. And so I'm having these conversations with other travelers or foreigners or in airports. And, you know, I mean, I literally wrote down notes on a dollar bill one time for a guy, because that's the only paper we could come up with in a short enough time frame. So, you know, I thought back then a YouTube channel would be a great way for me to make a video and just say, hey, if you're interested in this, this is where you'll find everything with a few more details. And so November 2019, I went to the Philippines with the intention of doing that. And first day in the water, I busted up my knee. Spent the rest of that time limping around, and you know, and then a big storm hit, busted up my flight plans, busted up my travel plans, and like 90% of my time or 80% of my time was spent like just trying to make sure I got home on time, you know, and bouncing from trying to catch up to my itinerary. Is just a nightmare, but I learned a lot, right? So I mean, there was that. I learned a ton about what to do when things go wrong. So that was kind of my idea of a YouTube channel then. Now everybody and their brothers, you know, got a camera out and they're all taking pictures. They're all shooting video. They're all doing the same thing. Should probably get on the other side, but I want to show you this train. So everybody's out, got a camera, and you know, a lot of that information I was looking for before I booked my vacation still isn't super readily available, but some is. Check out this old train. Hemingway Fan Club of Albania. Hopefully that's framed up right. But so a lot of that information, you know, is still kind of hard to find, and part of it's because travel's down, right? Travel's way down. A lot of people aren't traveling because of COVID. There we go. Can't really see my screen too well, but hopefully that got you. So since it's COVID, a lot of people aren't traveling. So the travelers you are getting are, they're out there, oh my God, this is great. They're not really giving you specifics. So I may do that at some point in the future. But, the big push for me to start a YouTube channel right now comes down to, and like, why now, right? So it comes down to 4 factors. This one guy that I listen to, mostly for entertainment, he's like, just pull out your phone and start shooting video, post it, and see what happens. The other factor was I was listening to, part of my concern about starting a YouTube channel is everybody is gonna bag on you, right? It's like the trolls, the mean people, the people you knew in the past that don't like you anymore. They're all gonna come out and give you a hard time. And just attention I don't want, right? I mean, I don't really expect this to go anywhere. I expect it mainly to be a journal for me. But like, I'm just tired of dealing with knuckleheads. But Jordan Peterson was in an interview years ago with that lady from Britain or something, I don't know, but it was a funny ass interview, right? She spent half an hour trying to corner him down on a couple things. And one of the things that she was trying to nail him down on was a decision he made in the past. She kept saying, hey, would you do it differently knowing what you know today? And he sat there for the longest time. And, at first I was kind of like, okay, enough with the dramatic pause, Jordan. We get it. You're trying to give a thoughtful thing, and then longer. And I'm like, looking for the fast forward button. And he said something that just kind of rocked my world. He's like, I need a haircut. He said something to the effect of, I'm not going to betray my former self, right? I'm not going to betray who I was then by second guessing that decision now, because I made the best decision I could at that time with the information I had. And that's kind of how I feel about my life. Could I find a better way for nearly every decision I made? Of course. I mean, if you can't go back through your life and say, that was the absolute best decision, then, I don't know what to say. If you feel like in hindsight, you made the best decisions 100% of the time, good for you. I think in hindsight, we could all find a better course for our younger selves. But the point is I'm not that person anymore, right? And Jordan's not the person he was when he made that decision. And if you want to judge me on who I am today, that's great, right? Because I'm going to judge myself on who I am today all the time, and I'm going to share that with you. I'm not going to be one of these guys, oh, life is great, right? No, I'm going to show you the struggles and mistakes I make too. Probably not all of them, but some of them. So anyway, the one guy said take out the camera, and then Jordan, had this pretty, mind-altering perspective change for me on the past. And then there's this credo or mantra or whatever I've been trying to implement into my life at every level for years, more and more, and it really helps break the apathy, right? And because you could sit in your chair and say, oh, I'm gonna go to the Philippines, and never get to the Philippines, right? And all of a sudden you get to the Philippines and you're too old to get on the boat, right? You're too fat to get on the slide, whatever it is, right? And you lost that opportunity. So today, tomorrow, and never is a mantra I came up with, and I started slowly implementing it, and I kind of fade in, fade out. But it basically goes like this: you can do it today, you can do it tomorrow, or shut the fuck up, because you're never gonna do it, right? If it's a pipe dream, it's a pipe dream. Now, if it's something that requires planning, and you're gonna start planning and executing that plan, or preparing to execute that plan or preparing to make that plan, right? I mean, some things are complicated, right? You can't just pick up your shit and move easily next week, right? So you got to start planning that shit months out to really do it smoothly. But today, tomorrow, never. So I had, this guy saying just do it, basically. I had Jordan kind of removing a lot of my self-consciousness about the past. Today, tomorrow, never. And then the last real key thing, the big thing, was there's another YouTuber I listen to, and he's documented his struggles, and he's fought with trolls, and all this. And the thing that I picked up from him is he had two videos, or he had a video that said, "This is my story," right? And then he took it down. And he said, "No, this is my story now." And what he demonstrated, I don't even know if he ever said it, but what he demonstrated was he created his future. He created his present, and his future to what he wanted it to be. He wasn't just along for the ride. He's like, and I'm sure he screwed up a lot more than he'll ever share with us. And, everybody does, right? That's just natural. But he did share a lot of the positives and the decisions he made. And that really helped me realize that, I can create my future just like he did. And so that's why the YouTube channel. I was already going to be out here. I didn't sell my shit and go on an adventure just to create a YouTube channel, right? That was something I was going to do, and that stemmed from, shit going back. And we can get into that later. But, so those four things kind of piled up and really hit me this week as I was out exploring this city. I've been in Albania. This is my second week. Spent about 2 months in Portugal and really loved it there. I was out on the Azores Islands, São Miguel, and caught a bout of bad weather. It was funny. One of the locals I was talking to, he's like, "Oh, you're gonna love summer. It gets so hot, and you go to the beach and swim, and it's, kind of cool and rainy, middle of July." And I'm like, okay, when does summer start, right? You're talking about summer, and when does that start? So it's just a bad season. I hit it at the wrong time, but I still, Azores is Azores. I mean, if you can, you need to go. It is, I'm stunned more people don't go. I'm stunned more people don't know about it. And it's still decently affordable if you plan ahead. And if you can go a little bit off season and you're flexible with the weather, great. Because Azores is one of those places where you get all 4 seasons in a day, probably 3 out of 5 days a week. And it's really nice and neat. People are great. Food is good. But anyway, so packed up there. I'm out in Albania now. Dropped into Tirana, the capital city, and I'm going to stay here probably a couple months, try and do some side trips. Already talking about meeting some friends in Croatia. Stopped in Italy on the way here. Spent 3 or 4 days in Italy. Probably go back to Italy September, October, and just kind of use this place as a little home base for a few months, and venture out to some other places. But while I'm here, this is a really amazing city. The food is great. The people are nice and hospitable. The coffee, I mean, that's what kind of struck me as funny. The coffee in Italy I wasn't happy with it. I struggled with it every day. The coffee in Portugal, I adapted to espresso over American coffee quickly. I love it. And the transition's been great. A lot less sugar, a lot less of the bad things, a lot more of the good stuff, and I drink more water. So all healthy things, and and here the coffee's just as good, if not, some shops are better than over there, and over there are some shops that are better than here, but pretty much everywhere you go, you're getting good espresso here. And it's cheap. It's really cheap. Like, I didn't buy, after the first week in Portugal, I stopped buying coffee to make it home because it was cheap enough and easy enough to walk to the corner and get a cup. I want to say there, I'm not sure how much it actually was. It was 50 or 60 cents euro for an espresso. I think somewhere in there, I'm not sure, at the local place, because I'd always just give them a euro. And we're talking a culture where pretty much nobody tips, but the guy always helped me out with English, and so I would always give him a bigger tip for that, because he helped me out with Portuguese and learning Portuguese, and he understood enough English that we could chat. But at that price, by the time you boil the water and do the pour over and wash everything, it's like, no, I'm gonna walk the 300 yards, 200 yards to the coffee shop, get a coffee, and come back, right? I mean, it's silly, to save, you're maybe saving 10% at that point, right? And Triana here, the coffee's even cheaper, right? And it's good to get out of the house, right? So I kind of treat houses like bedrooms lately. I don't like to sit around the house. So that's kind of who I am, where I'm going, what I'm doing. Not Dead Yet Adventures. I've already had a few people kind of like, what's that all about? And what that's all about is another video, but I'll give you a sneak peek to it. 2018, I'm retired, I'm on a fixed budget. 2018, I realized, when I went on that first trip with my friends, I realized, I'd just been sitting around the house waiting to die. I'd kind of forgotten what was out there, and there were months between 2013 and 2015 where, I left the house to go to Costco maybe twice, 3 times a month, and take the trash out, pick up the mail, and that would be it, right? And so I went traveling, and everything changed in my life, and I'll get into that in a different video. I think that's an important video for people to pick up on. So why should you come back? I don't have a good reason for that. If you want to come back, that's great. If you don't, I understand. I'm not your typical YouTuber. I've got a pretty monotone voice, I've been told many, many times. And, I'm not out doing like crazy exciting things every week. I'm not out taking my top off and jumping in the water, and I'm not a pretty hot girl with a good voice, and I'm not very smart, and I'm not very clever. The wisdom level's a little lower than average, probably. But all that said, I'm happy. I did get up out of my chair. I did leave America, and we'll get into it, but everything about my life has gotten better, and I'm gonna break down how and why in the future. But everything about my life has gotten just dramatically better. And it wasn't hard, right? And that's kind of my point about the little self-degradation there. I'm not trying to put myself down, I'm just trying to be real, right? I mean, the people I had lunch and coffee with this week, I mean, they're really, really like stunningly smart people and wise, and And so it always humbles me to be out and about, because when you're out traveling, you meet just the craziest 1% of the 1%ers. And it may not be in money, right? They may not be super rich, but you know, I went to a barbecue a couple times in the Azores, and the people I met there, you know, were talking, and I'm sitting there dumbfounded by their stories. I'm like, how did you have the wisdom, the knowledge? How did you have the intelligence to make that decision when you were 18, 20? You know, it just befuddles me how some of these people you meet out traveling, you're like, you did what? You just, oh my God. And, you know, and I don't want to get into their stories without their permission, but, you know, and I'm sitting there thinking like, oh my God, I'm literally like, you know, a Neanderthal next to these people, you know, and it's literally, you know, you start thinking about the courage it took some of these people to get through the shit they went through. And, you know, they're fine, perfectly adjusted, happy on the surface, you know, and they're out doing shit that, you know, 90% of the people I know back home wouldn't even think about doing. They're all going places, you know. One conversation I had at this bar with some people that just invited me over. I was sitting there like working on my phone. They're like, hey, come over, have a drink with us. And, you know, Africa. Like, I never even thought about going to Africa. It just wasn't even on. I mean, you know, you always think as a kid, you know, the pipe dream, right? Tarzan swimming through the jungle, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, it wasn't on my to-do list in real time, right? It wasn't part of the today, tomorrow, and never. You know, it wasn't in start planning, you know, doing research for this casually in the tomorrow phase, right? So, you know, but some of these people, you know, they just jumped and ran, went to Africa, like, you know, no guide, no research, no nothing, just, oh, I'm going to Africa, got on a plane. And so you hear stories like that. You meet people who, you know, are taking care of themselves very well, and, you know, financially, and you're like, I don't understand how you went from where you were to where you are. I mean, they really are 1%ers, and it's been an honor and a privilege to meet them. But if I was sitting in my chair back home, I never would have met them, right? You know, I don't go to the fancy places they go to. You know, I don't go to blah, 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 right? I was sitting in my chair watching TV. TV is another funny story. So, I think I covered who I am a little bit. I think I covered what you can expect. I think I covered where I'm at, where I'm going. Any other like hard questions, throw them in the comments. I'll tell you, I used to love sitting on the computer. I used to like live on that thing. Now it's a chore. It's like a literally hard ass chore for me to go pick up the computer. So don't expect like a super fast response, but I will try to respond to everything coherent and everything somewhat polite. I've got some thick skin and I can handle the criticism pretty well. I just don't, I mean, most of the time, honestly, with the blind criticism, it's not even whether I handle it or not. It's like, I just don't want to. It's like people out throwing that much shade. They're not worth my time. They're definitely not worth your time. So keep walking, right? I'm gonna keep walking here. I've got got about an hour more to do. So get my steps in, try and melt off some of this extra luggage I'm carrying. Thanks for checking it out, and I hope to see you soon.